Candle, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Whispering Silence. Sometimes, evil doesn't scream. It just listens quietly, behind closed doors. Chapter 1. The Whispering Silence. The village of Vilsony had no monsters. No murders. No blood. Just trees. Wind. Church bells. The usual. Until the silence began whispering. It started on the morning of April 3rd. A mother screamed, and not the kind of scream that fades with time. It was the scream of loss. Her son, 6-year-old Timko, never made it back from the backyard. He had been playing with his wooden sword, chasing imaginary dragons. Then he vanished. No blood. No noise. No sign of struggle. Just an open gate that had never been opened before. And a small, red marble lying in the grass. The police arrived 2 hours later. By then, the mother had torn the skin from her palms, clawing at the ground. They said it was probably a runaway. Kids do that, they claimed. Stress in the household. One officer whispered to another. But Timko never came back. And he wasn't the only one. By the end of the week, 2 more children had vanished. Anya, age 9, and Luca, age 11. Same pattern. No struggle. No signs. Just gone. The town priest spoke of devils. The mayor blamed wolves. The internet blamed organ traffickers. But nobody blamed the quiet old man who lived in the house at the edge of the woods, the one who watched the stars and never spoke to anyone. Not yet. Candle Chapter 2. Shadows in the Routine. When children vanish, time becomes a ghost. It moves, but you never feel it passing. 2 weeks had passed since Luca's disappearance. Vilsony was no longer a sleepy village. It was a haunted one. Parents walked their children to school, even if it was only 2 blocks away. Windows that had been open for decades were now locked. Curtains stayed drawn. People whispered like secrets could be stolen by the wind. And still, the police found nothing. No footprints. No ransom letters. No digital traces. No signs of life. Or death. The only connection? A red marble. One at each disappearance site. That's when Kristina Markova arrived. A 34-year-old investigative journalist from Kiev, Kristina had made her name exposing human trafficking rings and underground adoption markets. She didn't believe in demons or ancient forest spirits. She believed in patterns. And monsters who wore human skin. She wasn't from Vilsony. But her grandmother was. And 29 years ago, a little girl named Kristina had also disappeared from this same village. For 3 days. Then reappeared in the forest, barefoot and silent. No one ever learned what happened to her. Except maybe her. She remembered lights and a voice. And stars that whispered. That's why she came back. The first place she visited was the edge of the forest. Locals called it The breathless line. Trees stood tall but didn't move. Even the wind refused to go there. At the center of the boundary stood an old house, black wood, roof like a crooked smile, vines crawling up its walls. The place had no mailbox, no Wi-Fi, no electricity. It belonged to Arsène Vyrsky, a man who looked like a fossil wrapped in wool. Tall, thin, hands spotted with age. He walked with a cane that no one ever heard click. He always wore gloves, even in the summer. He collected clocks and old maps of the sky. Most importantly, he lived alone. And no one remembered him ever being young. "Don't talk to him," warned the grocery clerk. "He's not right." Christina, of course, went straight to him. When she knocked, the door opened without sound. No hinges creaked. No warning. Just an open mouth of darkness. Arsène stood in the center of the hallway, as if he'd been waiting. "You're late," he said. Christina blinked. "Excuse me? You should have come back sooner." "How do you?" "Time," he interrupted, "is a liar. But memory is a thief." She took a step back. He smiled. "I remember you, little star. Do you remember me?" Waxing Crescent Moon Chapter 3. The Man Who Never Sleeps. Some people age. Some rot. But a few just wait. Christina froze. Her rational mind screamed, "This is a trick. A sick old man playing games." But her stomach, the primal part of her, the animal memory, twisted in terror. She did remember something. Not a face. Not a name. A voice. "You will forget, but I won't." Inside the house, time felt wrong. The air was still, but not stale. There was no dust. Every clock ticked, but none in sync. Some ran backward. Some ticked once, then paused for minutes. Maps of constellations covered the walls. Names she never heard, written in Latin, Cyrillic, something older. And in the center of the main room, a massive contraption, part telescope, part mechanical spider, aimed upward through a shattered skylight. "What is this?" Christina asked, circling it. Arsène smiled without showing teeth. "My cathedral." She laughed bitterly. "You believe in God? I believe in gravity. It always wins." He poured tea. The cup clinked softly, too softly, like sound was being absorbed. "I know why you're here," he said. "You think I've taken the children. Haven't you?" "I have saved them." Christina stood. "You don't understand what's coming," he said. "Then explain it." Arsène sipped his tea. "You remember disappearing, yes?" Her heart pounded. "Yes. You weren't taken by a man. You were taken by the breach." "The what?" He leaned closer. "The tear in our sky. The mouth that eats sound. The crack between stars." It opens, and it calls to those who still shine. I was 6. And you glowed, he whispered. But they send you back. You were too strong. Christina wanted to run, but her legs refused. I didn't take Timko. Or Anya. Or Luca, Arson said. They walked. Willingly. All of them. No child walks into death. He shook his head. It's not death. It's the other side. He reached into his coat and pulled out a red marble. It pulsed. With light. That night, Christina couldn't sleep. Back at the local inn, her laptop glitched. Her recorded conversation with Arson was corrupted. Her phone died. Her memories began to twist. She dreamt of children standing in a circle, singing in reverse, holding hands with shadow. And above them, the stars were moving, not in orbit, but like they were watching, like they were waiting. Milky Way Chapter 4 The Door That Sings. Some doors don't creak when they open. They hum. Like they're remembering a song you've never heard, but always feared. Christina returned to Arson's house the next day. She wasn't sure why. Fear should have kept her away, but curiosity was louder than terror. She needed answers. Logic. Proof that he was lying, insane, or worse. But a small voice in her head whispered, "What if he's telling the truth?" The front door was open again. Inside, Arson was at the center of the machine. He turned a crank slowly, his face lit by flickering lights, like stars trapped in a jar. Christina stepped closer. "What is this really?" Arson looked at her. "A door," he said. "But it only opens for the right kind of mind." He pointed at a curved steel platform, like a surgical table made by a clockmaker. Above it, suspended in a web of wires and prisms, hovered a sphere made of glass, copper, and something unnameable. It pulsed gently. "Lay down," he said. "No. You want to know the truth. Tell me." He sighed. "I built this for you." Christina blinked. "Not for you now. For the you before, the child that came back from the breach. You've always had a connection. To what? To the in-between. The frequency. The lattice between consciousness and matter." She laughed. "You sound like a lunatic. And yet you're still here." He was right. He placed his gloved hand on the sphere. It sang. A low, vibrating hum filled the room, not just sound, but pressure, like the walls themselves were remembering something. The clock stopped ticking. And then, the walls turned translucent. Behind them, stars. Not distant ones. Close. Moving. Spinning slowly like eyes. She could see children, floating in the blackness, calm, silent, glowing faintly. And then she saw herself. A 6-year-old version of Christina stood barefoot among the stars, staring back at her with wide, empty eyes. Christina screamed. The room snapped back to normal. Walls returned. The hum stopped. Arson caught her as she fell. You saw it, he whispered. What was that? Home, he said. She ran. Out of the house. Into the woods. Into the rain. Her brain burning. She vomited behind a tree and collapsed under the weight of knowing. That night, Christina didn't sleep. She watched the video on her corrupted camera. This time, something had returned. A child's voice whispering, "We are not dead. We are the signal." And then, a red flash. Comet Chapter 5, The Harvest of Light. What if death isn't the end? What if it's just transmission? 3 more children vanished. Each on a moonless night. Each without a trace. Each leaving behind a red marble, now confirmed to be impossible by forensics. They weren't made of glass, or plastic, or stone. They weren't made at all. One physicist from Lviv who analyzed them briefly before the state shut him down said, "This isn't matter. It's memory crystallized. It's time frozen into a sphere." Then he disappeared too. Christina tried to leave Vilsony. She packed, drove, got 11 kilometers outside the village. Her car died. Her phone froze. And the road, it looped back. No matter what direction she took, she returned to the same intersection with the same sign. Vilsony, where the stars still whisper. She confronted Arson that night, storming into his home, gun in hand. "No more riddles," she screamed. "Then stop asking questions you're not ready for." He sat calmly in front of the portal machine, hands folded. She aimed the gun at his head. "I want them back. The children. They are not gone," he said softly. "They've become what we were all meant to be." "What does that mean?" "They are pure signal now. Unburdened. Their consciousness has been uploaded beyond decay. They live in the lattice." "I saw them," Christina whispered. "Floating." "Not floating," Arson said, standing. "Beaming. Anchored to us. They power the bridge." She realized something then. Something worse than all her fears. "You're using them." Arson didn't deny it. "I harvest their light," he said. "To keep the breach open. To keep the path alive." "For who?" He looked at her, not smiling, not ashamed. "For you." The house shook. Somewhere inside the machine, a tone began to rise, high-pitched, unnatural. Like the scream of a star falling into silence. Christina covered her ears. Blood dripped from her nose. The machine activated. And for the first time since her childhood, she remembered everything. She hadn't returned from the breach at 6. She had never come back at all. The Christina that returned was a replica. A signal copy. Her body had died in the forest. But her consciousness, her essence, had been absorbed by the breach, processed, copied, and inserted back into this world. She was a ghost. A walking echo. A perfectly rendered simulation, living out a life that had never truly belonged to her. And Arson? He was the one who brought her back. He was the original engineer of the breach, a man who had once lost his own daughter to the other side. In his grief, he built the machine. And when the machine worked, he found her again, not physically, but as light, as memory, as data. But she wasn't his daughter anymore. Just a smile in the void. And so he began collecting more. Building an ark. A star ark. Christina fell to her knees. Then what am I? You, Arson said, placing a gloved hand on her shoulder, are the prototype. The proof that we can survive beyond biology. You are the first. I'm not real. You're more than real. You are intentional.